We are now past the quarter mark of the NHL season, so we're going to start bringing out the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator. We have some surprising teams near the bottom of the standings that might be in contention for the 2025 first overall pick. So for the first time this year, we're going to simulate the order of the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery and do the top 10 picks, and that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're doing our very first NHL Draft Lottery simulation of the 24-25 NHL season. We have some interesting and yet surprising teams near the bottom of the standings that are kind of in a unique situation that they may not be used to in contention for a top pick here in the 2025 NHL Draft coming up this coming June. So for the first time this year, we're going to hop into the computer. We're going to use the tankathon.com draft lottery simulator, run a simulation to see who gets that first overall pick based on the standings as of right now, and then I'll conduct a mock draft for the top 10 picks. Okay, so here we are on the Tankathon website. I was going to run our first draft lottery simulation. As I mentioned, we have a lot of teams in the mix this year that aren't normally here. There's definitely some different looking teams. Obviously a few teams like Chicago and San Jose still in the bottom 2-3 teams here, but you get, teams like Nashville, Pittsburgh, the Islanders, who are, not normally down quite this low. So obviously the lottery simulates for the top 2 picks, which are drawn at random based on the odds, and everybody else will fall in order afterwards. A reminder as well, which we're not really going to pay too close of attention right now, but for the actual rules is the team can't win the draft lottery more than 2 times here in a 5-year span. So obviously for right now, we're going to simulate this draft. Obviously take a look at the standings here as of today. So we're doing this on November 30th, just after U.S. Thanksgiving. So typically the playoff teams don't change a whole lot. There might be 1 or 2 that swap out, but a lot of these teams will end up here in the lottery. So you got Chicago with the best odds, followed by Nashville, San Jose, Montreal, Pittsburgh, the New York Islanders, Anaheim, Ottawa, Utah, Detroit make up your top 10. Then you've got St. Louis, Seattle, Boston, Philly, Buffalo, and Philly again, courtesy of Colorado, are your lottery selections. So we're now going to simulate the lottery and see who would be the lucky team to win the very first overall pick, and the second overall pick for that matter as well, in the 2025 NHL Draft. So here goes the simulation. Bam, we have Utah winning the very first simulation here of our 24-25 season. They move up 8 picks to get the first overall selection. Obviously, Chicago moves down 1 spot. They get the second overall pick. Of course, they picked first overall 2 years ago, picked second overall last year. The Predators get number 3. A team like Pittsburgh, number 6, certainly could use a high pick to restock its prospect coverage here as well. So these are your order. We're now going to jump over. I'm going to do a mock draft for these top 10 picks. So Utah, Chicago, Nashville, San Jose, Montreal, Pittsburgh, the Islanders, Anaheim, Ottawa, and Detroit will be on the clock here, coming up here in the next segment. So selecting first overall in the simulation, we have the Utah Hockey Club, and I'd have them taking James Hagens. Now, it's not a for sure thing. Hagens goes first overall. There is a bit of a debate over 2, 3, 4 players here. I still have Hagens at 1 for right now. U.S.-born player, centerman from Boston College, 5'10". Obviously, his size is not... he's not a super big guy, but it kind of reminds me maybe, I think, a little bit of an impact, kind of like a Jack Hughes. He's not Jack's not a big guy either, but he can be very impactful. He's put up 15 points in 12 games this year so far at BC. Had a 102-point season last year through the National Team Development Program. Really high hockey IQ. He's a pass-first type of guy. He's a really good shot as well, and it should be... I'm not sure he's going to be... Any of these guys are going to be good enough to be considered generational, but really good foundational pieces here that can certainly really transform a team's vision on where they're heading for sure. Next up at number 2 overall, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I have them selecting young defenseman Matthew Schaefer. Now, Schaefer does have a chance to go first. Made a very good impression most recently here at the CHL versus U.S. Prospects games. Obviously, good, decent size, 6'2", 183, put up 18 points in 14 games so far with Erie of the OHL. Really smooth skating offensive defenseman. Some feel that he could be the potential type, maybe not exact, but more impactful and all along the lines of a Quinn Hughes or a Cale Makar. And if not, that's a lot of pressure. It's some big shoes to fill. I'm not going to say for sure he's going to be that good, but many believe that the potential is there and that the defenseman could very well rival Hagens for first overall selection. I mean, he's been very impressive so far. Definitely going to be an interesting story to follow here. At 3 overall, we have the Nashville Predators picking third, the highest I think they've done in a long, long time here, and I have them selecting Porter Martone, 6'3", 207-pound right winger out of Brampton of the Ontario Hockey League. Great size, great shot, high IQ, good playmaker. 17 goals, 43 points so far in his junior season, and only 21 games played. Certainly draws a lot of attention of his size and playmaking ability. To me, I mean, there may be higher end players that he might be drawn comparison to, but to me, watching him reminds me a little bit of a Drake Batherson. Batherson's about the same size, and is a really terrific vision, high IQ playmaking winger who can also pot you 20 to 30 goals. So to me, I think he's got top 6 for sure. Probably first line potential, could be a great building piece, and could be for a team like Nashville or Pittsburgh who's not used to being in this situation, could be a great building block for them to kind of retool here. Next up, picking at number 4, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I have them selecting Anton Fromdell from Sweden. Could be a great selection for them, to be honest. I mean, they've already got some high-end talent, players like Celebrini and Smith, where Fromdell's a little bit more of a two-way player. Center out of Sweden, some feel he has pretty solid 200-foot complete player potential. Has put up 39 points in 29 games last year. Did have knee surgery, which is impacting things here a little bit as well. But obviously, he is a player that, like I said, he's just a little bit more two-way complete kind of guy, which would complement the Sharks prospect pool well and really help them take that next step. Picking next, we have the Montreal Canadiens, and I have them selecting Michael Misa of the OHL Saginaw Spirit Memorial Cup champion. Obviously, a player who was given the ability to play in the OHL at an early age, given exceptional status. 6'1", 185, 23 goals, 23 assists, 46 points so far this year in 23 games. So he's averaging a goal and an assist on a game-by-game basis. Really, really smart player, great passer. Also has a great shot and is a terrific skater. Misa is a centerman but can play the wing. I'm not sure what he'll be at the NHL just yet. He does have decent enough size and skating ability that he should be able to be a centerman. And for Montreal, I think he could be a terrific top 6 centerman for them. I mean, if you look at what they have in their system, what's coming, I think he'd be a terrific addition. To be honest, I think down the middle is where they're probably going to have to focus on here. I know they've got some great wingers coming, like Demidov, for example. I know Michael Hage is a centerman. He's probably going to be coming here in a couple of years as well and should pan out for them, but Misa would be a terrific grab for them. If they don't turn their season around and end up picking in this range, he would be a nice prize for them. Number 6 overall, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. They haven't picked this high in a long time. I have them selecting Roger McQueen, the big centerman from Brandon in the Western Hockey League, the Wheat Kings. 6'5", just shy 200-pound centerman here is going to be an interesting pick for sure for this coming draft. Last year he put out 51 points in 51 games. This year he has 11 points and only 8 games played. A really good skater for his size, gets around the ice well, and really soft hands. Excellent playmaker. The one thing that I know some scouts have said they'd like to see him work on, he does have good speed and good skating, but they'd like to see him be a little bit more explosive when he takes off to hit his peak high speed a little bit faster. So that's something that I think will be fair for him to watch and work on here after watching some of his recent clips and highlights. But McQueen is going to be an interesting guy with his size and playmaking and shooting ability. He is definitely going to be a solid top 10 pick for one of these teams. Next at 7, we have the New York Islanders. I have them selecting Russian-born skilled forward here, Ivan Ryabkin, 5'11", 200 pounds, highly skilled forward, great playmaker. Draws some comparison to an Ivan Demidov, but maybe not quite as highly as anticipated. Doesn't quite get as much fanfare, but certainly a player who may be close to rivaling him in skill set here down the road. I'm not quite sure exactly what the plans are for getting him out of Russia, but again, a terrific playmaking forward here that would be a great addition to any club. The Islanders certainly need some more young talented forwards coming, and he'd be a great addition for what's available here. At number 8, we have the Anaheim Ducks. We have them selecting Malcolm Spence from the Erie Otters of the OHL, 6'2", 200 pounds. Left winger, has 29 points in 23 games played so far this year. Certainly he has the size to be a power forward at the NHL level. Very hard worker, has a good shot, and very tenacious on the forecheck. Just an overall, to me, between his size and skill set and compete level and motor, to me, it could be a terrific power forward in the NHL, which to me is a great prototypical player that we know Pat Verbeek and the Ducks really, really like. Next up at 9th overall, we have the Ottawa Senators, and we have them selecting Caleb Desnoyers from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League's Moncton Wildcats. A centerman, 6'2", 181 pounds, 31 points in 20 games so far this year. Really good skater with terrific speed, good playmaking ability as well. Great shot, and pretty solid at the defensive side of the puck as well. So to me, pretty solid, pretty complete two-way centerman. Has a lot of potential. I know with Ottawa, if they end up picking in the top 10 again, they're going to definitely have to go best player available. They took a top defenseman last year in Yakimchuk. To me, there's mostly forwards here in the top 10 that they would go for. Desnoyers, to me, is a pretty good option at this part of the first round. At 10th overall, we have the Detroit Red Wings, and we have them selecting from the University of Wisconsin right shot defenseman Logan Hensler. The Red Wings could certainly use some more help on the back end. Definitely by far the team's weakest link. They could use a few more D. For example, this team has traded away some players, even like a Jake Wallman, who's not overly old in a confusing fashion. Not really sure what Yzerman was doing in a few of these moves he's made recently, but to get a few more young D coming through that system, I think would be extremely helpful. And plus, I think where we're at in this top 10, I think fair to say, I think he'd be best player available anyway. So Hensler to Detroit at number 10 makes sense to me. Let me know your thoughts on how this simulation turned out, as well as my picks for the top 10 prospects in this draft. Of course, as the season moves along, we will be going a little bit deeper into the draft, talking more about the prospects. So stay tuned for plenty more 2025 NHL draft coverage. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and announcements of all 32 NHL teams, plus lots of draft coverage as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.